In the hidden city of Arcanos, the night felt heavier than usual. Clouds veiled the stars, covering the sky as if to guard a secret. On the roof of a small house stood Hyro, a 16-year-old boy with eyes full of unease. For nights, he had seen the same dream. A shining blue sword floating in darkness, calling to him with words he could not understand. Each morning he woke in fear, his heart racing, torn between dread and curiosity that burned inside him. At school the next day, he pretended nothing was wrong. Yet Rin, his closest friend, quickly noticed. She leaned toward him and whispered, "You're hiding something, aren't you?" Her voice carried gentle worry, and her eyes begged him not to push her away. Inside, her heart trembled with fear of losing him. Hyro gave her a weak smile, avoiding her gaze. Deep down, he longed to share the truth, but feared dragging her into danger. Soon Kael appeared, an older student with sharp eyes and a calm expression. He sat beside them, though his stillness hid a heavy secret. Inside him churned guilt and knowledge. He understood. Hyro's dreams were not ordinary, but the awakening of a fate tied to the whole city. That evening, back in his room, Hyro froze. A strange pendant lay on his desk, glowing faintly. His hands shook as he lifted it. His chest tightened, his breath caught, and his heart thundered. In that moment, fear and wonder mixed, and he realized a dark path was opening before him. That night, Hyro could not sleep. The pendant glowed faintly on his desk, pulsing like a heartbeat. Each flash stirred his chest with fear, yet also a strange pull he could not resist. As he touched it, a whisper echoed in his mind. "Your fate begins tonight." His eyes widened, breath sharp, hands trembling. He dropped the pendant, but the glow only grew brighter. Across town, Rin sat alone in her room, staring at an old photo of her and Hyro. Her heart ached with worry. She pressed the picture to her chest, whispering, "Please don't shut me out." A tear slid down her cheek, though she tried to smile. Fear gnawed inside her, a fear that whatever troubled Hyro was larger than either of them. Meanwhile, Kael sat in his study. Pages of old books spread before him. His expression was calm, but his eyes carried sorrow. He traced his finger over ancient runes, muttering, "So it has begun." His chest was heavy with guilt, knowing he had kept secrets from his friends for too long. Back in Hyro's room, the air shifted. Shadows crawled across the walls, twisting and bending like living smoke. His chest tightened with panic, eyes darting as the darkness took shape. From instinct, he reached for the glowing pendant. In an instant, a blue sword appeared in his hand, its blade humming with light. The shadows screeched, rushing toward him. His body trembled, fear pounding in his veins. Yet something deeper surged, an unshakable will to fight. The room shook as shadows lunged toward Hyro. His chest tightened, breath ragged, fear screaming inside him. Yet the sword blazed brighter, filling him with strange energy. His body trembled, torn between terror and courage. But deep inside, something urged him to fight. He swung the glowing blade, cutting through the darkness. Each strike made the shadows recoil with furious cries, yet more pressed forward. His arms ached, sweat dripping down his face, but determination sparked within him, pushing him on. The door burst open. Rin rushed in. Her heart froze at the sight. Hyro battling living darkness. "Hyro!" she cried, voice cracking with fear. Tears blurred her vision, torn between running to him or collapsing in panic. Still, her legs carried her closer. Kael appeared moments later, his expression calm, yet heavy with regret. His eyes darkened as he whispered, "It has begun." Inside, guilt tore at him. He had known this day would come. With a final cry, Hyro struck the largest shadow. Blue light exploded, scattering the darkness into nothing. Silence filled the room. His knees buckled, and he collapsed, gasping. Rin rushed to him, clutching his shoulder, her tears spilling freely. "What's happening to you?" she whispered, her voice trembling with fear and love. Hyro stared at the faintly glowing sword in his hand. Confusion, terror, and the weight of destiny churned inside him. He knew nothing in his life would ever be the same again. The night deepened as the three sat around the fire. Hyro stared at the glowing sword resting on the ground, its light pulsing faintly, like a heartbeat. A storm brewed in his chest, fear of its power, fear of himself. Rin watched him, her hands trembling as she tried to stay strong. "You almost lost yourself today," she whispered, her voice breaking with both fear and affection. Inside, she hated the distance the sword was putting between them. Kael's gaze was heavy. Filled with knowledge he hesitated to share. "That blade," he said softly, "is bound to your soul. It awakens because of who you are, not by chance." Guilt tugged at him. He had known more than he admitted. Hyro clenched his fists, his voice low. "Then what am I becoming?" The weight of destiny pressed on him, cold and merciless. Kael looked away, shadows flickering across his face. "Someone the world will depend on, or fear." His words left the fire crackling in uneasy silence. Rin leaned closer, heart pounding. She wanted to promise she'd never let him fall, yet fear silenced her. Inside, love and terror battled for control. The night offered no answers, only the sound of flames and the promise of trials yet to come. The night air was heavy as Hyro, Rin, and Kael stood outside the ruined room. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the faint crackle of burning torches. Hyro's hand still shook as he looked at the sword, glowing faintly in the darkness. Fear twisted in his chest, fear of himself. Rin clutched his arm tightly, her eyes wet with worry. Her voice trembled. "You could have died. I thought I was losing you." Her heart pounded so hard it hurt, torn between relief and fear of what he was becoming. Kael stepped closer, his face calm yet sorrowful. He looked into Hyro's eyes, and his voice carried the weight of truth. "This power inside you is ancient. It will either save this world or destroy it." His words cut deep, filling Hyro with dread. "I don't want this," Hyro whispered, his voice cracking. His chest felt heavy, as though the sword itself had chained him to a fate he never asked for. Kael's gaze softened. Inside, he longed to shield the boy from the burden, but he knew he could not. "You have no choice," he said quietly. Rin tightened her grip, anger flashing through her tears. "He's not alone. I'll fight with him, no matter what." Her heart blazed with courage, though fear gnawed at her soul. Hyro looked at them both, his fear, their strength, Kael's sorrow. For the first time, hope flickered in the storm of his heart. Yet destiny's shadow loomed closer, ready to test them all. The village lay quiet under the pale moonlight, but inside Hyro's chest a storm raged. The sword pulsed against his back as though alive, whispering to him in silence. His steps felt heavier with every path forward. Rin walked beside him, her heart torn. She wanted to smile, to ease his fear, but every time she looked at him, she saw the shadows creeping closer. "You're changing," she murmured, her voice trembling. Deep inside, she feared losing the boy she cared for to something darker. Hyro lowered his gaze, shame burning inside him. "I don't want this power, but it won't let me go." He pressed his hand to his chest, as if to hold himself together. His fear was no longer of death, but of becoming the monster in his nightmares. Kael followed behind them, silent. His heart carried the weight of old sins. He knew the truth of the pendant and sword, yet speaking it would bind Hyro to a cruel destiny. Still, his duty pressed on him like iron chains. Suddenly, a cry echoed from the woods. Shadows burst from the trees, writhing in the moonlight, their whispers sharp and hungry. Hyro's fear turned to fire. The sword blazed in his hands, brighter than ever. Rin gripped her staff, her body shaking but her spirit unyielding. Kael raised his hand, ancient words gathering power. Together, the three stood in the moonlit clearing, hearts trembling, yet united. The battle for their fate had only begun. The clearing shook as shadows lunged forward, their twisted forms clawing at the air. Hyro swung the glowing sword, light slashing through the darkness. Each strike sent shivers through his body, the power both thrilling and terrifying. His heart raced. Was he controlling the sword, or was it controlling him? Rin fought at his side, her staff glowing faintly as she whispered protective spells. Fear gnawed at her with every moment, but her determination burned stronger. "I won't let them take you," she cried, her voice trembling yet fierce. Inside, her love for Hyro drove her beyond her limits. Kael stood firm, his hands weaving ancient signs. Blue flames erupted, burning the shadows to ash. Yet guilt tore at him. He knew these creatures were drawn by the very sword Hyro carried. The boy he swore to protect was also the bait. The last shadow shrieked and dissolved into the night. Silence fell, broken only by Hyro's heavy breaths. His hands trembled as he looked at the sword, glowing hotter, hungrier. "I felt their pain," he whispered, eyes wide with dread. His chest ached, filled with sorrow he could not explain. Rin touched his shoulder, her heart aching for him. "You're still you," she whispered softly, though deep down she feared he was slipping away. Kael lowered his gaze, hiding the storm inside. He knew the truth that Hyro's bond with the sword was deepening, and soon, a choice would come that none of them were ready to face. The journey led them to the edge of the Forgotten Valley, where mist coiled like living breath. Hyro's chest tightened as the pendant around his neck pulsed, answering the sword's glow. Each step forward felt like walking deeper into destiny. Rin clutched his arm, her heart trembling. She longed to protect him, yet feared the valley would claim him. "We don't have to go in," she whispered, her voice breaking. Inside, she wished he could just be a boy, not a savior. But Hyro's eyes burned with resolve, even as fear twisted inside him. "If this is where it ends, I have to see it through." His words were strong, yet his heart screamed with doubt. Kael's face darkened as he looked into the mist. Old memories clawed at him, memories of sealing the shadows long ago. Guilt weighed heavy. His silence had shaped Hyro's suffering. "This valley holds the truth," he said quietly. "But truth is never kind." The mist shifted, revealing figures in the haze, shadows shaped like people, faces twisted with sorrow. Hyro staggered back, horror flooding him. "They look alive," he whispered. The sword flared, tugging him toward the phantoms. His fear clashed with pity, his soul tearing apart. Rin gripped his hand tighter, her love a fragile anchor in the storm. Kael's eyes hardened. "These are not memories. They are warnings." His voice carried both sorrow and urgency. The valley was not just a place of secrets, it was a trial, and the three had already stepped into its jaws. The mist closed around them, heavy and suffocating. Hyro's sword glowed brighter, pulling him deeper as though the valley itself demanded his soul. His chest ached, fear and courage warring inside him. Figures formed in the fog, shadows with faces he knew. His parents, smiling, then fading into cries. His younger self, reaching out, begging for freedom. The visions pierced him, filling him with guilt. "It's not real," he whispered, yet his heart shattered at the sight. Rin rushed to his side, her own tears burning. She wanted to scream at the valley, to protect him from pain she couldn't fight. "Don't listen." "You're more than this," she cried, her love stronger than fear. Inside, she feared losing him to illusions darker than death. Kael's face twisted with anguish. He knew the valley was showing truths hidden in memory, not lies. His silence weighed heavier than ever. He had let Hyro face this unprepared. "I should have told you," he muttered, voice breaking. The ground shook. From the mist rose a colossal shadow, eyes burning with endless hunger. Its voice echoed in their minds. "You carry our prison. Free us or be consumed." Hyro's hands trembled, the sword blazing like fire. He felt the creature's pain, its rage, its endless desire for release. His heart nearly gave in, torn between mercy and fear. Rin gripped his hand, grounding him. Kael raised his staff, power crackling. Together they stood before the final trial, the choice that would decide everything. The shadow loomed, roaring as the valley trembled. Hyro's sword blazed in his hands, pulsing with wild power. His chest burned with fear and hope, torn between surrender and fighting back. Rin's voice cut through the chaos. Hyro, you're not alone. Whatever happens, I'll stay with you. Her heart pounded, love giving her courage even as tears blurred her eyes. Kael stepped closer, staff glowing. His voice carried guilt. The sword was forged to seal the shadows, but it demands a sacrifice. I should have told you sooner. The shadow thundered. Release us, or be consumed. Hyro trembled, the sword's fire raging through him. He saw Rin's courage, Kael's sorrow, and his own will. His voice broke as he shouted, No! You won't take me or them! Light erupted. The sword flared, sealing the shadow in a burst of brilliance. Pain tore through him, but instead of breaking, he felt acceptance. The sword was no longer a burden, it was his choice. When the light faded, silence fell. Hyro dropped to his knees, exhausted but alive. Rin rushed to hold him, relief flooding her heart. Kael bowed his head, tears of pride and grief mingling. Together, they had faced the darkness. Together, they had chosen hope.